Hello everyone and welcome to Enlightened Conversations. My name is Raul and this is actually my first episode for season 3, so yay!
Yay indeed!
Welcome, I'm here with a beautiful and effervescent Jacqueline Close-Moore.
Thank you for having me here, Ralph.
Thank you so much for joining me. And just to give you a little bit of background information about Jacqueline, Jacqueline is a 6th generation psychic, healer, medium, empath. She's also an author, and Jacqueline and I were co-authors of a book called Journey of the Lightworker, available now in really good stores. And who's there? Oh, hi Veronica, how are you? And today I wanted to actually bring Jacqueline because not only Jacqueline is all these wonderful things, let me just show you people out there on Enlightened Conversations. Jacqueline is actually an award winner. She was the first Psychic of the Year in 2004 for Victoria. So, my dear, congratulations, well done.
Thank you, darling.
And later on in 2013, you were telling me that you were made an ambassador.
Psychic ambassador, and at the time I was doing quite a lot trying to help out an organisation, and I've always done my best, I guess, to promote psychics, psychic topic subjects, written in magazines, quite a lot of cover stories with those articles I've written and stuff like that, doing radio since 1997, way back then, and I was the first New Age radio show in Australia actually to globally webcast to a US-based internet natural living radio station back in the day. So they actually contacted me from America and said, we've heard about your show, we'd really like you on our channel. And so I was sort of I was doing this from a community radio station on the FM band, and I was sending them tapes back when you had tapes and mini discs, and sending them to America. And then I had these emails coming to me from Montana and God knows where saying, when is your show on? I'm like, what are you talking about? So yeah, it was quite interesting.
Thank you so much for having us in your beautiful studio here in Melbourne in South Yarra. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Who is she?
Well, you see, it's arguable. Some people actually go, oh, it's Nefertiti, and I'm like, no, it isn't. This is actually Hatshepsut, who was a female pharaoh.
Powerful.
Yeah,
Look at her eyes.
Totally scrubbed from the history books, of course, because,
females,
and, and she had a stepson who was actually the next pharaoh, but she sort of had to take over business for quite a while there, and, it didn't go so well for her, and, but she was one strong lady.
Well, from one strong lady to another. So here we have it. Jacqueline, today I wanted to have a conversation with you because this word is being bashed around by so many people, and I've been hearing it a lot, and the word is actually ego. And let me give you my version and my...
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I subscribe to the school of thought that ego is like anything in life. Yes, we got the yin, we got the yang, we got the light, we got the dark, we got the positive, we got the negative. But mostly people tend to concentrate on the word ego, on all the negative connotation that word carries, rather than what I will say, you know what, to me ego is the link between my conscious mind and my unconscious, and it's also what it allows me to have a personality, what it allows me to be uniquely me. So, what's wrong with this picture?
Nothing. And to quote Skyhooks, ego is not a dirty word. Ego is not a dirty word. Yeah, don't believe what you've seen and you've heard. I think the more someone needs to write about ego on Facebook on a daily basis and put the letters E-G-O in capitals, I sort of think, I think I see a problem with the ego, says my ego. And so I remember a joke once told to me by a healing teacher who said, I wanted to learn about the shadow, and so I was up, trekking with some Tibetan monks, and I said, "Can you tell me about the shadow?" and and so one of the Tibetan monks went, "Okay," and he goes, "Like this? grabs out a Mars bar out of the guy's pocket, opens a wrapper, starts eating it and goes, there you go. I think that's sort of self-explanatory, but I think the thing is that we need a certain amount of it. If we didn't have any of that at all, we wouldn't get out of bed, I think. You know, and I think that ego can not just be, I am fabulous. Sorry about that really bad egoic expression. But it can
Days
also...
of our lives.
Days of our lives. I'm having a baby.
Yes.
You're having a baby. They're dying. They're dead. Oh no, they've been reborn. But no, it can be that. But it can also be, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. That psychic over there who's famous, they are bad. Because I know the true truth. Sorry. No, they've just gotten on a show. And you could possibly be on a show if it was your destiny. You put the hard work into it and didn't just go, it's my destiny, I don't have to do anything. And, you know, you actually maybe took some presenting courses or did some TV work. You'd be ready for that. You'd be up for that. You'd have the right energy. And maybe they actually might have their own sort of doubts about themselves. You know, maybe they're human. So I think the thing is not to project onto other people, I guess, your own insecurities.
But also what I usually say, sometimes many people will go to the well-known gurus.
Oh, yes? Gee, you are you.
And that idea, yeah, we all have.
I know.
But that idea that sometimes I've learned throughout my life and my career pathway that these people, they have something to teach me, but I don't need to be like them.
No.
And so many out there, particularly in social media, we see they're trying to imitate, they're trying to emulate, they're trying to be the same. And there's only one of that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's only one of you, there's only one of me.
I love how you always put that way. And how many Elvis impersonators are there? They're never quite the same. Viva Las Vegas and all, they're just not Elvis. And, you know, Elvis is probably looking down on that and going, well, thanks, but I'm laughing. You know, in his own way. But I think he'd also be thankful of that because it's kind of funny, but it's also, well, thanks for the, you know, reverence. I did enjoy making that music. But yeah, it is really about that, you know, we're human. We are having spiritual experiences and we are souls in a human experience, but we're also human.
As I was saying to you before, when I decided to actually produce my own deck of cards, I said to you, it needs to have a clear point of difference. Yeah. I do not want to be somebody that's already famous and produce 20 deck of cards. I want to be Raul, somebody that produced something that is worthwhile, made with love from my heart to yours.
And you feel it as a result.
And that's what I wanted to achieve. I'm not here to mass produce another 20 decks. It's not who I am. And it's not what I was actually sent to do. But I knew that I wanted to do it. And I knew that it was part of my pathway. And that's part of the positivity of your ego to say, hey, Raul, you can do this.
And you can, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You don't need to be the same as somebody else famous, but perhaps you can take the concept, turn it around, give it another shape, show it to people in a different format, in a different way, and then give something of value.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's when ego, from my school of thought, from the point of view that I look at it, plays a really important part.
Absolutely. Because you have to have the guts to really go and do that. Because it takes courage.
But I would like our listeners out there to realize that when people are throwing the word ego around and they're saying, oh, you're coming from a place of ego, well, really think about it. And think about, am I coming from a place of being selfish, up myself, whatever it may be, or am I really coming from a place that is rubbing somebody the wrong way because they want to do it and they can't, I can't.
Well, they feel threatened.
Exactly.
And you know, it is that whole kind of energy of just be who you are and you know, and don't let other people, their success, their failure, whatever, really mark, oh, goody, or oh, bad, or, you know, it's I'm doing me and it's great. And if you're focusing too much on someone else, it's really good to go back to, okay, what am I not starting or finishing for me? Let's put the energy back there, because that will get you back on track with what you're meant to be doing anyway, instead of either emulating someone or hating them, even though you might not have met them before. And just, then you're going to do you better, and then you are your unique self, and then everything's happy.
And be mindful of, sometimes I see people going around the world doing, I don't know, whatever talks they do and courses that they do, and people go and pay hundreds of dollars, and I was one of those. But one thing that I did was I went in knowing I'm paying this amount of money, what is it I'm going to learn, what is the takeaway, what am I going to use?
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to be that person. And also, I'm not trying to do similar things, and I'm not trying to actually be a different version of me.
Yeah.
Because that's when you actually get confused, and that's when perhaps the negative side of the ego takes hold.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's that projection thing. And it's owning your own shadow or ego. There's actually a book by Robert A. Johnson that's been out for absolutely eons, and it's Owning Your Own Shadow. I love that book. I get all my students to read that because it's just so handy. Like, if you find the balance in your own life, then you've got no need to project your stuff on other people. Yeah,
and sometimes many of us get into that place of anxiety because you want to produce and you want to be better and you want to do this, and been there, done that, still going through the learning lesson of all of that. But I was actually recommended a book by a general practitioner, a doctor that is from England but actually lives in Melbourne. His name is Russell Harris. So if you look up Russ Harris, and he has a couple of books. One is The Happiness Trap.
Yep.
And the other one, the second one, which you must read, is called The Reality Slap.
Yeah.
And this is a gentleman that actually talks about him dealing with his own anxiety, with his own depression, as a person, but also as a medical practitioner, and how he goes about, and he gives you true, real exercises on that book for you to do and for you to realize, hey, give yourself a break. You know what? Okay, that voice in your head that is telling you it's not good enough, acknowledge it and just saying, okay, you are there, but you know what? I'm not going to pay attention to you. And you were saying to me before that you had something similar, saying, yeah, I can hear you, but I don't want to do that. And that's something that the dark side of the ego we actually play out.
Absolutely, and there's actually rational emotional therapy deals with that, and there's actually a book I've got. It's a children's book. It's intended for parents to read to children, but I actually also found it helpful as an adult. And also for my children. And they've got this thing called the head hustler. And the head hustler is a part of our mind, the critical mind, that says, you can't do that, you can't be that, what do you think you're doing? And, and it's sort of, woo! And they're saying that in people who are really stuck in that space, the head hustler's way up, turned up to 11, right? And the good part of them goes, no, I'm doing this and it's fine, is like down at 1.5 maybe. And so the thing is, they're actually turning the dials around the other way. So I find that sometimes I'm telling clients to, and I'll actually tell them what the head hustler, so to speak, is telling them, and they'll go, oh, that's exactly what goes on. And I actually tell them what's going on in their head while I'm saying all this stuff, and you just thought that, didn't you? And they're like, and because in that space with that particular client, that's what I'm needing to do.
Yes.
With another client, we're not doing that. And I'll say, well, this is actually the head hustler part of you, and so when that speaks, you need to say, I am fine, deep breath, diaphragm released, hello. I am fine, and I'm doing this. And to take a few more chances in life rather than going, I'm constricted by fear, I'm going to stay here.
But sometimes people need to go as well through that fear to really comprehend and understand what it truly feels like, how restricted it is, and how you actually need to push along and break free. And it's that idea that we were talking about before in your show, about that rebirth, that little caterpillar going into the cocoon and suddenly transforming and breaking out and coming out as a beautiful butterfly. Gee, it takes a lot of effort it takes a lot of courage to be able to live through that situation And if you are in that situation, you're not alone. Jacqueline and I have been through it many times. We are currently going through it. Just because we're sitting here and smiling, that doesn't mean that everything is rose-colored rose and it's rainbows and unicorns all of the time. Because we are solely living a human experience, and as such, we're giving ourselves a chance sometimes to be human.
Absolutely, and that's when we sort of nick off into the cocoon, or I like to call it the beach.
So much nicer.
I have my...
Although secluded with nobody around.
Oh, this is a very good beach. Not many people know where it is, and people don't know me. It's fantastic. Because,
and you let the layers peel off.
Oh, yeah, because I don't have to be anything. I'm just some chick over there that's under some weird umbrella. And it's just fantastic to be able to do that, because my work every single day is the very intimate core details of what's going on for someone's life, and maybe their crisis or something like that, and I'm helping them to find their way through that, to navigate that. And so I'm dealing with the intimacies of people all the time, and so that's why, to balance that out, I will actually retreat away to places where absolutely no one knows me. Whereas when I used to live in Whittlesea, you walk down the street, how you going, how you going, how you going, how's your kids, yeah, and, you know, everywhere you went.
Nowhere to retreat.
Nowhere to retreat. And it was lovely having that community feeling, but it was just everywhere I went. It's like, oh, there's Jacqueline, great, let's, you know. Sometimes it's, like this, but I, you know, and so sometimes you just need to go into, you know, the local supermarket, and they'll go, that'll be $14.99, thanks, or whatever it is, and thanks, here it is, and bye, and
the exchange is done, and you move on.
And you got trees. Lots of trees, and no one knows where you are behind those trees. It's just fantastic.
But it's that idea of, we keep on saying to people, you need to ground. And that's what you're describing, that idea of grounding, getting in touch with Mother Nature, getting in touch with everything that is actually taking place. And although we say, okay, sometimes we need to be individual and unique, but being unique and individual doesn't prevent you from being at one with Mother Nature.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. I just have to go out the front door, and I've got great big trees, and I just go, well, not so much like that, because the trunk is...
It's a bit large.
You know. But I literally will sit in my window sometimes and just watch literally the seasons pass. Not the whole time, but I'll be watching the flowers coming out of the trees, or the leaves coming off. It's almost like the Whomping Willow in Harry Potter. It's like,
yes,
la 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 la, sometimes, because just this massive row of trees, and you know, the wind kicks up, and you get they have these special flowers, and they just go, all these golden yellow flowers just go flying in the breeze, and
beautiful.
Oh yeah.
So that idea of, and I usually say to people, it's important to commune with nature, and if you are in a place in the world that perhaps at the moment you got the beast from the east and it's extremely cold, bring Mother Nature in, and you could have plants, you could have flowers. And if that's not the case, have a beautiful photograph, a beautiful picture on your tablet, on your mobile phone, of a flower that really makes you feel alive, of a tree like you're describing that actually takes you into that little imaginary adventure that you can be in springtime surrounded by all these beautiful trees and flowers. Remember that being a soul living a human experience and having that experience of ego is about allowing your mind to really take you on a journey and go with it and travel. And it's as simple as sitting down with a 4 or 5 year old child and having a tea party.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the tea party is actually taking place in a beautiful castle.
Yes.
And the dress, and she tells you that she's a princess and is coming down the beautiful staircase, and you have to go with her.
Oh, you do. And it's cardboard and there's blankets, but it's fine. You know,
but they see it.
They do. They do.
We don't see it.
Oh, no. Look, I do remember being this little kid, and I had to sleep on purple sheets. You know, hey. royal purple sheets, and so I'd gotten out of bed, and I remember taking the fitted sheet off and somehow really expertly making this toga with a very long train out of this bed sheet, and I'm walking down the hallway, and I came into the lounge room.
Feeling very regal.
Oh. And all of a sudden, I wasn't in the lounge room. I'm actually in this marble paved area. There are massive pots of geraniums on each side of this staircase going down. And there's this great big lawn with a great big maze. And I'm like, oh, I'm back.
Yes.
And anyway, dunk, dunk, I'm getting tapped on the shoulder by my grandma, who's very much in the lounge room. And she goes, where are you? And I go, oh, she tapped me on the shoulder, that's right. She tapped me on the shoulder, and I said, and I turned and I looked at her, and I'm in the lounge room again, and I go, where have all the servants gone? And I'm crying. And she said, and she had exactly the same degree, North Node in Aquarius, hint, hint, that I did, and it turns out. And she says, well, Jacqueline, this is what happens when you mistreat people in another life. You come back and you have to do it the hard way. Right. I was crying and crying, but I actually laugh now because it's actually quite funny. It's this altered reality of past life memory popping on in and the lessons of it.
But it's exactly
brings
that.
The ego in.
The lesson and that idea that you were saying, where are all the servants? And
hello, ego.
Suddenly your grandma brought you back into reality to say, you know what? Here you do it yourself. You do it yourself,
darling, because no one else is going to. And this was perfect.
But it's still the other side. We got the dark side of the ego there, but we still got the light side of the ego of that little young Jacqueline that she believed she was a princess. She believed that she was surrounded by all these luxury and servants.
She was remembering a past life.
And sometimes it's a past life, but sometimes
it's just imagination.
But sometimes it's kids that they read books, that they see in a movie nowadays because tablets, mobile phones, and they watch Frozen 1,000 times.
Oh, yes.
And so that's what they're actually imagining. So their imagination is a little bit more limited to what they have seen rather than what they're experiencing in their minds.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember when you are imagining Dungeons and Dragons is out of a board game. Yes? Now you don't have that. You go and play it on your phone.
It sort of cuts the imagination out a bit. They have to sort of find new ways of doing that.
And hence why at a time I wrote a children's book with actually little handle that you go outdoors, my little angels talk to me, and you talk to your little angels and you do something.
And you colour it in.
And you colour it in, or you grab a mop or a broom and you make it into a horsey. That's what we used to do.
Yeah.
We didn't have a horsey.
Yes.
Like the ones that you now buy with the head and the wheels at the back. We had a broom.
Yeah, that's right. I remember the broom.
And that's the side of the ego that says, don't be restricted by the broom. Create it into something so much bigger than what it is.
Indeed.
And allow it to actually grow. And that's what we need to instill in our young minds and in our young people to say. This morning I was listening to a news broadcast and they were talking about kids being resilient and bullying and all this. And I get it that a child needs to be resilient at any time. When you are born on earth, you need to be resilient. But also that doesn't mean that you need to be tough as nails.
No.
You can be resilient and you can still be somebody that cares for people. That it will see something that it brings an emotion and they will allow themselves to cry.
Yeah.
But the phrase that I had when I was growing up, particularly as a boy, and as a young boy that I knew, as a young boy that I was gay, the phrase that I had was, boys don't cry.
Yes, I remember those phrases.
Yeah. And that's something that, it never stopped me from crying, but it actually made me feel like I didn't belong because I was a boy that cried. When there was something, I didn't cry for everything, but when there was something called for, that the emotion overtook me. And my father, boys don't cry. And I still see 2018, 21st century, parents saying that to kids today.
I was on the farm and I was just pre-adolescent, and I was told much the same by my stepfather. And, you know, you have to be able to judge people in 11 seconds, he's telling me. And I'm like, So many years later, I had a telepathy game with him in the kitchen table, and he was sure that I was doing ventriloquism because he could actually hear me. But that was me paying back. Whoops. There's that side of the ego. But so, you know, it's really interesting. It wasn't always just boys that were told that. On the farm, you as a girl were often told that as well. You had to be tough because you were facing tiger snakes, king brown, you know, copperheads, red-bellied black snakes. And the interesting thing I found was my dad used to have a very sharp shovel. Okay, and he would go wandering with the shovel on purpose to find the snakes, and they would come at him, and then there would be a snake hanging over the fence that sort of didn't have all of its head, as what he called it, a totem for the other snakes not to come here, and yet he'd constantly have these snakes coming at him, and yet I at times saw snakes on the farm. I actually saw a whole bunch of babies tiger snakes getting off the bus one time. And I thought, oh, what are they? They're about a pencil size, and they were wiggly, and I'm like, oh, they're snakes, that's right. Keep away from the snakes. But interestingly, not one of them came at me. Interestingly, I was on the trampoline one time, I saw a red-bellied black snake, and I went, oh, snake! And I'm like freaking out, and I'm on the trampoline trying not to bounce, and the snake actually did, goes that way. And I thought, oh, hang on a minute. And then another time on the farm, there was actually a massive copperhead. And, you know, anyway, so that snake saw me, literally turned tail, goes scooting down the gravel, like, down gravel, like loose gravel. It was dusty as. And the calf that I was walking sort of took off, actually strangely in the direction of the snake. But the snake was up until that point coming towards us. Went the other way. So, and even I was down at the 12 Apostles near home, and it was a massively hot day, and I got, you better leave now. Okay, started walking. My son, who wanted to stay longer, and I just pointed out his animal totem, which is a bird, and I said, oh, what's he hovering for? I said, something's going on. And he, oh no, I want to take photos, you know. And he started to learn to listen to when his totem turns up. It's like, hey, Lo, you need to watch what you're doing. So he walks, like he's further away behind me, and I'm sort of further up. And then he finally catches up with me and goes, oh, yeah, a tiger snake came out. And I went like this. He put his arm around, because the tourist was about to step on this snake. You got 4 hours if you're lucky. Yeah. And the people coming the other way started stomping their feet, and they're like making noises. And the snake, who up until that point was just actually going away from the path, just minding, I'm going now, right? Just they started stomping. The snake starts getting agitated, and he's having to yell at these tourists, "Do not move." And so he's holding this blank back, he's stopping them and yelling at them, and the snake went from literally rising up, getting ready to, and it was actually coming towards him and this tourist. Head goes back down, flattens back out, goes off. And this has happened many times to him in nature, and it's interesting how that carries through. So you've got the one who attacks them, they come for them. And you got the ones who are saying, hey, sorry, we're occupying the same space. It's like, oh, okay. You know, off they go.
It's exactly what we started our conversation from, the light and the dark side of the ego. And that idea that we keep on talking, we are all one. We are.
Even with snakes.
And when you understand that perhaps you're occupying the same space and you're saying, sorry, okay, please, go first.
Yeah.
It's like when you're giving way to somebody on the bus, on the train, you open the door for somebody and you're saying, okay, we're in the same space, but please, go first.
Yeah.
And that's perhaps what the snake will actually react to. Thank you.
Yeah. And
they go.
Yeah, they
Rather than, this is my door and I'm going to go first.
Yeah.
Then the other person will actually get angry. And it's the same. We react in the similar way. So from today onwards, people, we would like you to truly think about the word ego having a really positive and beautiful connotation of being unique, of being an individual, of bringing your individual into the wholeness and being a part of that community without you losing yourself.
Yeah.
And at the moment, we were talking before, Jacqueline, that energy that we need to come back into ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is interesting because we talk about the Kundalini with that, and here we are in the snake. So you got the light in the snake as well.
Correct.
And of course, what's she wearing on her headdress? Snake.
Actually, about 3 of them.
3 of them? Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah. So, we'll leave you here today with this enlightened conversation about, yes, the positive side of ego. So I would like to see more people out there when they go live, when they talk about ego, to talk in a much more positive light. Jacqueline, thank you so much for coming on the show, for being the first guest of mine for season 3. We shall do it all again on another time. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank my sponsors for this show, Lightworker Foundation, and most importantly as well, White Light Publishing House, our publishers. They've been extremely kind to sponsor the show for us to be here today. So to Lightworker Foundation and to White Light Publishing House, thank you so much for your support. And until we see you next time, please remember, believe in angels because they do believe in you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.